Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Dark Age by Pierce Brown. So as usual, we're going to talk non-spoilery thoughts and opinions up front and then move over to the spoiler section where we can talk in more detail. So with that being said, remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and let's begin. So, Dark Age by Pierce Brown is so incredibly dark. I mean, yes, I know it's in the title, but like, holy crap, this is one of the darkest books I've ever read. Like, it's uncomfortable. Like, it's literally so uncomfortable. So let's start off with a basic description, right? So this one pretty much picks up right after the first one. I mean, after the first one in this second trilogy. We have Darrow on Mercury trying to deal with pretty much the ambush and all the stuff that happened there with the failure of getting more warriors to pretty much go and liberate Mercury because the government won't listen to him. So he's on Mercury trying to help his soldiers after finding out his son has been kidnapped. So he chose to go there instead of trying to go trying to go help his son, which I think was a terrible decision, but it's interesting the way that Pierce tries to justify it in the story. So while Darrow is on Mercury, we have Mustang over in the Senate trying to get all the votes together in order to help send the fleet that they need in order to help Darrow on Mercury. But the Vox Populi, the voice of the people, like, are sick of war and they don't want to keep sending their people, and they're literally just afraid, which is so incredibly frustrating because it's like you have this almost complete war, you have this half-done war, and y'all are too afraid to finish it. And it's like, you need to finish it, otherwise you're going to have a bunch of enemies coming at you when you think you're safe. And it's just like, why is this so annoyingly difficult? But I do want to say that this book's writing is greatly improved. Pierce has been getting a lot better with his writing, his prose, and his use of this first-person perspective with every book. He is, like, vastly improving every time. But I think while the writing and everything about this book is done so much better than the previous ones, I think he just went way too full hog on all the darkness. There is almost no light in this entire book. It's the longest book in the entire series so far, and it is so depressingly dark. Like, I barely got through it. I wanted to stop reading it. Like, it started to piss me off because so much of it just felt like, well, okay, we have an opportunity to go really dark here, let's go really dark here. Like, it just felt like you knew the book was called Dark Age. Like, you wanted it to be the Empire Strike Back of the second trilogy, and it's like he just went so dark just for that purpose, because there are so many instances where I feel like even if you're trying to take it in a hyper-realistic way, like, you know, real life doesn't have happy endings and all this kind of stuff, at least, you know, not typically. And it's like, yes, because war situation, this kind of thing will happen, or this kind of thing will happen, blah, blah, blah. But there is opportunity for some sort of lightness at the end, or some sort of, like, some sort of catharsis with it, just a little bit. There were so many little opportunities for at least just some little, like a crack of light through the grave. Like, there were so many little opportunities for that. And Pierce is like, no, we're not doing that. No, no. Pile on some more grave dirt. Like, that's what he was doing. It was like, oh my God. It just, it was literally so difficult to finish this book. But it has me so completely of two minds, because the improvement of the writing is so well done that I'm really impressed by that. And the progression of the story is so, like, organic, and it makes sense, because after you take over a terrible government and try to install the new government, it's not going to be just that easy. It's not going to just be a flip. There's still going to be internal conflict and even more external conflict and all this kind of stuff, like, especially when your society is a solar system. So there is so much more that logically would happen, and I'm happy that he's exploring that. But it's like, man, this is at the end of the day a fiction, and people read to enjoy themselves, and this is the most unenjoyable read I think I've ever experienced from a book that I can tell you is actually impressive. Like, I am so of two minds. This book was so dark, and like, it hit me so hard that I honestly don't know if I can read the next one. Like, the way it ended kind of gave me some hope that we're setting up this big triumphant situation that's supposed to happen to culminate this trilogy. But like, I need to take time. Like, if nothing else, I need to take some time. Like, good thing this next book isn't going to be out until who knows when, because I at this point I really wish I would have taken a solid break between the first trilogy and the second trilogy, because a lot of this stuff seems to be happening so fast. It feels so jarring because everything that happened with the Rising and all that stuff, and then we just do an immediate time skip. And I basically didn't take any breaks between the books, so I didn't feel that time skip. So it just feels like all these characters that were so good and so smart and making really good tactical decisions are like incredible idiots now. And it's like, why is everybody making terrible decisions and doing stuff that's just like obviously is going to lead to something terrible? And it's like, ugh, but they also keep getting put in these quagmires. Like, they keep getting put in a rock and a hard place situation. And it's like, I feel for the characters. Like, I feel bad for them, because it's like, holy crap, you just can't win for losing. But then I'm like hyper frustrated, because I'm like, it didn't need to be this dramatically depressing. Like, sexual assault. Like, I understand using that as an instance to display that your antagonist characters are evil and ruthless and stuff, but dude, you don't have to make it like every freaking situation. Like, there is so much in this book. There is so much sexual assault in this book. Like, so much. It's literally incredibly uncomfortable. And I don't consider myself like squeamish in that instance. Like, when that type of stuff happens in the book, I'm like, okay, it justifies it based on the nature of, not, justify it, but like the writer is more or less justifying the actions by trying to explore how evil this person is and stuff like that. Like, so in some context, I think it makes sense. But like, there's like, I feel like something like that is so dark and so uncomfortable that it's one of those things you should basically sprinkle in. But like, you shouldn't have every single bad person in the book look for an opportunity to do something like that. You just shouldn't. Like, it's just, it's completely excessive, and it's got me literally stuttering, because it's just it broke my mind so completely. So before I just start ranting about that kind of stuff, I do want to say, like, if you are into this series and you've been reading it up to this point, I think you do have to continue reading it. You need to read this book, and you need to, because this is clearly his Empire Strikes Back attempt. This is clearly his, dark before the great triumphant situation. So for that instance, and if you're a completionist, then yes, I would really recommend reading it. But if you cannot take like dark stuff, like, there is grim dark and fantasy and stuff like that, and there's darker sci-fi, but I feel like this is dramatically excessive. The description of the battles and all that stuff, when it gets really gory and stuff like that, I can understand. I can even appreciate, because it's war, and like, there's they're using insane sci-fi weaponry, so I can understand that. But I mean, and it's also, the society itself has a very Greek-Roman kind of thing to it. And there was a lot of like sexual assault then for reasons of like dominance, literal dominance and stuff. So like, a lot of that's rearing its head because of the nature of the way their society is created. But it's like, you as the writer have the choice to change whether or not every scene we go to ends up having that situation happening. And it happened entirely too many times for my liking. I am so severely of two minds of this book. I won't be reading it again for I don't know how long, if ever. I am hoping that the sixth book takes a little bit of time to come out, so I can just completely wash some of this off my brain and probably come back in for the big finale. Because this, like I say, that's what stuck with me. All of this, it feels like excessive darkness. That's what really stuck with me from this book, and I don't like that. That's not why I read. I don't read to end the story feeling depressed and uncomfortable and literally looking over my shoulder. Like, I don't read for that. So before we jump into spoilers, if you haven't read the book, let me know what book you've read that was just so uncomfortably dark and excessively grim dark that you've come across in your reading. Let me know about that in the comments down below. I want to know if anyone else has experienced a jarringly dark book like this. Yeah, so let's jump over to spoilers so I can get a little more detail. So, spoilers for Dark Age by Pierce Brown. So one of the things that I kind of enjoyed, probably my favorite part of the book, was when Victra, Vulgar, and Lyria were all together, when they were basically on their mission trying to get out and trying to like escape, because they were in an excessively terrible situation when the Oskamani came in. I think it's Oskamani, when they came in from deep space and like attacked the ship, and like Victra had to basically abandon their entire ship, and then they were basically trekking, trying to find a way like to, you know, get somewhere safe and to send out a signal so Victra's warriors could come and help and stuff. And this woman is pregnant. She is 9 months, but she is literally overdue. Like, her pregnancy is overdue, and she is outrunning an obsidian and a red, which, you know, isn't a huge feat, but like an obsidian, like she's outrunning everybody. She's still a badass. She's still kicking ass. She's kicking ass, taking names. But then, like, I was so enjoying that part. I was like, yeah, we got these badass ladies, and like they got totally different skill sets, and they gonna learn from this ridiculous, overly powered gold Victra, and then they gonna learn some freelancer stuff from Vulgar because she learned from Ephraim, and then the parasite inside Lyria. Like, they gonna be like this awesome team and stuff. And there are hints that that is still going to go forward, but I was just so ready for this situation to be triumphant and like, yeah, we figured this out. We got these people. Let's get the red hand, blah, blah, blah. And then like she gives birth, and I thought that was just an amazing scene. I thought, like, because I like everybody else, I think, is supposed to, I have pretty much issues with the Golds and the way they are and the way their society and all that stuff works, because they're pretty much assholes. And the entire idea of just their level of strength and stuff in some situations is admirable. You kind of have to. Especially like, just, I don't know, the idea of how strong Victra is. I just kind of admire it. Just, it's really interesting to see somebody so ridiculously badass and so unapologetically like loving of her family, but absolutely ruthless to everyone else. Like, I really like her character. And then like, it was just this very cool, triumphant thing. Like, she let Lyria sit in on the birth, and she's like giving birth standing up, and like showed her like how badass she is and all this stuff. And then we see her like true emotions, and she got the little baby. She named him Ulysses and all this stuff. And then like, I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. This is what appears like it's gonna make it all happy. Nope. You nail a baby to a tree. Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding? Like, and I can understand that this is like wartime, and these are very terrible people, and you got to show how horrible Far is and all his people, and the Red Hand, and like the really bad obsidians and stuff. Like, I get that. I really do. And it just like, it took the wind out of me so completely, because at that point in the story, I was so desperately looking for something fun, something enjoyable, something kind of light, and it just wouldn't happen. And then we got that. I was like, okay, this is cool. This is nice. I'm really liking this. Like, these, you know, we're climbing uphill. We're struggling through. Like, it's just like, no. It is just like, oh man. And then like Darrow on Mercury, it's like every single thing he does fails. Every plan fails. He went there specifically to try to go save his people, to go save his warriors. But like I thought at the end of the last one, it's like, dude, what are you going to do? It's not like you're going there with an entire fleet of people. It's not like you got a bunch of barge ships that you can just get in and get all your people out or something like that. Like, you just basically went there to be their commander. Yes, it gives them a morale boost and all this stuff, and you're a better tactician, so it probably helps give an opportunity, but there's no opportunity. Like, because he's got like Sander coming from the rim with them, and then they're trying to like ally with the Ash Lord and all the people, like all the bad ones that are still in the core, and it's just like every single thing he does, it just doesn't work, and people just keep dying and dying and dying. And like, there's an instance where Darrow almost dies, and like, they literally, for this feels for no reason, especially because we understand it's a book, and we understand Darrow is still technically the main character, so Darrow's not going to be killed off unceremoniously like this. So the idea that he basically just starts this battle, and then like, I can't remember, either or EMP or something like that, but basically he was beaten down and was on the ground and stuff. And the first thing that the bad guys do is to rape him and freaking cut off his junk and force feed it to him. I'm like, why are we so excessively terrible? Like, why is it just so excessively terrible? And then the way it's written, it's presented as Darrow has no way out. He has no salvation. This is going to happen. So we literally sit in his POV with this terror for a little bit, and it's so goddamn uncomfortable. Like, it just really is. It's just, I'm starting to laugh at myself for how uncomfortable it made me. Like, it's just the entire thing of it. It's just, it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. I thought it was so terrible, like Lyria's whole family getting wiped out and stuff. Like, no. And then even when they like freaking try to figure a way out and they like start to get out and stuff, they end up in like a harem situation. Like, it's just, there's so much terror. There's so much just, it is truly a dark age. This book is truly a dark age. And on the whole, though, let me try to think about this contextually from third POV, I guess. So on the whole, it makes total sense, as I said earlier, that you start a new government, it's going to be infighting, there's going to be issues. So the situation of the Republic having issues with the Senate trying to send more people to help Darrow, like, that's one issue. Like, you got to play politics and you got to manipulate and scheme and trade favors and stuff to get the votes to do this. I was like, okay, yeah, let's play with that storyline, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. And then we get all this stuff that's basically make that completely irrelevant. Then there's a huge coup in the government, and I thought Mustang was going to get killed. It looked like she basically was killed. I mean, but you know, they're gold, they're tough and all this stuff. And then it's such a dark age because the remnants, like, apart from just worrying about the still stabilized gold society and the Rim coming back to attack and like screw everything up, there's people in the core, like there's lower colors that prefer the slave situation because of the chaos of the Republic situation. So now they're loyal to the society. So when Lysander shows up, they're on his side. And it's just like they're trying to do all this stuff and it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Like, it's just, there's just so much to it. And like I said, it kind of makes sense because it's not going to just flip to another government and be all hunky-dory and perfect and nice and all that kind of stuff. But man, whew, this book's truly a dark age, and I think I've ranted enough about it, and I am going to put away the Red Rising series for a while because this is the last one in the series so far, and I am okay with Pierce taking however long he needs to finish the last one, if it is the last one, because I'm not mentally prepared to jump into it yet. So yeah. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the review here and say, have you all read Dark Age? How dark do you think it was? Am I over-exaggerating, or did you think it was just incredibly depressing too? Let me know about that in the comments down below. So remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will talk to you all next time. Peace.